Welcome to Red35, and today we have Matt's evil twin, Matt. If you remember Matt from our previous Hadley 1 review, and yeah, this is the other version of him. And what we're looking at today is the Olympus 60mm macro lens, which is usually for bugs.
So today I'm the bug.
Yes, man, you're the ladybug. Olympus has released two macro lenses in the lineup, and the 35mm, and this is the longer brother, the 60mm macro lens. And Matt, what do you know about macro lenses in general?
In general, I know they're usually shot for like close-up photography, so like maybe like bugs or like products like jewellery or something like that.
Yeah, like shooting ladybugs, ladybirds.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do everything but what you just said. So no close-ups, but I also want to tell you guys about the benefit of why you should actually have a macro lens in your bag, regardless whether you are a macro photographer or not.
So Jimmy, you tell me you're going to use this lens, macro lens, for anything but close-up photography.
Yep.
What about this makes it so good for that?
Right, first is the focal length. 60mm in full frame is 120, so it's really a good kind of focal length for half length or even headshots, because it's for the compression and distortion, because for being a 60, it just has that very natural compressions and free from distortion, so it makes your face look natural. Because if you use a wider angle lens, you kind of have your face bulging forward, so you kind of look a bit like Simpson.
Okay.
but this one isn't, so it's really good for that. And second, being a macro lens means there's a lot of resolving power, which a lot of people may not actually understand. A lot of kind of fast prime portrait lenses out there, they're good, they're fast. This is actually being 2.8, the others are like 1.4, 1.8, so they are at least 1 or 2 stops faster than this. But in terms of resolving power, you cannot beat a macro lens, because macro lens just so much sharper. It gets a lot more detail because they are designed to get details. So that means this is really good. If you want to see like all the hair, all the facial hair, like eyelashes, so really good for close-up shot. But when you turn it a little bit further out, you can still see all those details because it's so sharp.
Great.
Yeah.
With any product, build quality is obviously very important. Tell me more about this one.
It's plastic fantastic.
Okay.
This is made from very posh plastic, polycarbonate to be precise, and which is a little bit, kind of not disappointing in a way, but a lot of people might expect, something like this would maybe built of metal, like a lot of the Olympus Pro lenses, they are all metal made. Okay. But having said that, it's very, very well built, very solid. You have that solid feeling for it. It doesn't have any loose parts on it. It doesn't rattle or anything. It's fully weatherproof, so you can use it in the rain. Being a macro lens is really good for that, because a lot of I can imagine people shooting bugs and stuff like that. They would might wait for the morning drops and things like that. In very kind of difficult situations.
Right.
But having weather seal is actually good for kind of all season long shooting. If you're doing outdoor portrait like today, although we haven't got any elements against us today, but you know that it's protected, so it's the bonus. And in terms of the handling, and it's just good, because look at the size of these things. It's just so small. And I have used full frame version of these lenses on bigger system. Right. They are easily double the size, in terms of size and weight. So they are much bigger, heavier to handle. Right. And this is just good. I can use one hand, in shooting no problem all day long, and doesn't feel tired or anything. And this is a genius designing hood. And just look at this. It's a collapsible hood. So a lot of the camera lenses, the hood, they are kind of fixed in. So either detach it or so like it's not basically it's not collapsible. It basically means it takes up space when you do transport. But this thing being a collapsible hood is just fantastic. You can collapse it, put it in your bag. It doesn't actually have any extra length in it.
Sure.
But this is just cool.
Best to carry, right?
Yes. And you might be able to hit someone with this.
So Jimmy, you mentioned about like the sharpness of the lens, using a macro lens for portraiture.
Yep.
So, how well will this lens pick up this beautiful stubble?
Every single one of them.
Oh, look at that.
Well, in fact, I think this is the beauty of having a macro lens for portrait, because it's just so sharp. But having said that, obviously not everyone's cup of tea when it comes to sharp portrait, because for instance, ladies, they may not like fine lines, pores and things like that. This will show everything.
Right.
But having said that, some male portrait, for instance, they want to look masculine. They want to have details on the face. Some people do like that sort of shot, and this is really, really perfect for that. And because it picks up so much detail, you can do a lot with it. Or some people, if you like to do a little bit of post-production shots, they don't mind having extra detail, so they can work backward a little bit, So that means they have extra information to work with. But like I said, I think majority of the ladies, they would want a little bit more smoother lenses. Yeah. This may not be for a lady, but for details like what what we've done today, a bit more kind of a masculine kind of type of shoot. This is really, really cool for that, and just so sharp. I think it's really, really good. One more thing about the macro lens is the capability or the ability to focus close. Mm-hmm. A lot of the longer or medium telephoto lenses, they cannot focus close because of the constructions and how they design the lens. Most of them are like minimum of 70 centimeters, minimum focusing distance, or up to 1.2, 1.5 meters, which is actually quite far. But being a macro lens, they are designed to close focus, which means it is really good in terms of flexibility. If I want to suddenly just want to get close, like from doing a long portrait to come in close, maybe I just want just the eye shot, or the mouth shot, I can just come in without having to worry about the focusing limit on the lens. So, which is actually really good. It's just that obviously the lens is designed for macro, so the gearing is quite long. So what it means is the focusing speed can be a little bit slower compared to some of the primes. They need that because when you do macro shots, the minute movement, even like 0.001 of millimeters, makes a big difference. So that means in terms of focusing, they use a much longer gearing, and that affects the focusing speed quite a bit, when it comes to it. And that's also the reason why they have introduced a focusing kind of distance restriction. Okay. So like you can limit the lens to basically focus at a certain distance. So that means the computer doesn't have to think too much. Right. They only know that you're only focusing that little bit there, so it doesn't go all the way back and forth just to try to find a focus, and that way helps the speed a little bit.
Less work, but a quicker capture, right?
Yeah, I mentioned all the benefits of being sharp and things like that, so this is actually cool. But I love the flexibility because I used to use a much longer zoom for weddings or for portraits and things like that, the 7200, which is a lot of people use for that type of thing, and that has a minimum focusing of 1 meter, 1.2 meters. So sometimes when I come close, it just cannot capture it, and I have to either change lens altogether or just to basically change my distance, trying to work it out, in terms of that. But this, I can just move in and out freely without having to worry about stopping the focusing just stops.
So Jimmy, you've told me a lot of great features about this lens. It seems kind of like an all singing, all dancing. Why don't you use it all the time?
Well, no, because first, it's a prime. You know I said kind of like a little bit hypocrite that was said earlier, but being a fixed prime, it means that it limits your vision quite a bit.
Okay.
You know, like you're fixed to constantly with that 120mm full frame kind of look. You know, like that means when you come to an alleyway like this, for instance, you know, like if you want to capture the kind of impact, ambience and things like that, it simply cannot use this lens. You have to stand really far away and trying to capture the same thing, but then you lose the atmosphere a little bit.
Right.
So then in that case you have to use a wider lens, so you can't use this. So that means I cannot use this lens all the time, simply because if changing environment, I need to use a different kind of lens, different focal length to capture that kind of look or feel that I want. So even though as good as this lens is, you know, I just cannot use it all the time for, you know, maybe for today, you know, the stuff that we're doing, so it's perfect for it, but anything else, probably have to change the lens altogether, you know, for a different look.
So Jimmy, we started by talking about how you wanted to shoot anything but bugs.
Yes, and I actually want to highlight the fact that, you know, like how versatile a macro lens actually is. And a lot of people, you know, who are out looking for lenses for portrait, for instance, you know, they're always looking for, you know, even one of those big pro zoom lenses, or, you know, just basically one of those who are marketed as portrait lenses, you know, like, but a lot of people just completely ignore macro lenses because they're just not labeled as a portrait lens.
Yeah.
So today's video is, I just want to highlight the fact that, you know, these lenses are really good for portrait as well as shooting bugs and things like that, you know, and they are equally as good in terms of image quality, and you can get a lot out of it. And, you know, if you are not looking for fast, like in terms of apertures, you know, fast lenses, you know, these are really good value for money because they are not as expensive as some of the lenses out there. And, you know, and you can get even higher image quality compared to those lenses because they are macro lenses. So like I mentioned about sharpness, they are ultra sharp and lighter to carry, smaller to fit in your bag, you know, and it just really good. A lot of people just completely ignore all these benefits, you know, that associating with macro lenses in general. So this video is all about talk about everything but macro, although it's about macro lens, but everything about for macro. But there you go. So it's cool, you know. I think everyone should, you know, if they are kind of want a lens that is flexible, you know, like if they want to maybe photograph something close up, you know, every now and then, you know, this lens, you know, that you don't have to change a close-up filter, whatever, you're trying to do something stupid, you know, this is actually all in. You know, might as well get one of these lenses so you can do portraits, you can do occasional close-ups, or if you are just a macro photographer, get one of these, of course, then you can do a little bit portrait on the side. So, you know, it's a very versatile lens, much more than a lot of people think.
Great stuff.
Thank you for watching this video, and if you'd like to see more Olympus product reviews, please do subscribe our channel, and you can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Well, I'm sure we have all the links down below in the description, and also check out this handsome model next to me.
You're too kind.
Matt Carman. And we also put his website down there. He's got some great stuff on his website, and check him out. And until then, see you later.
Farewell.
Bye.